How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
You sound like you're ready for a delicious, refreshing beverage.
Well,
Low
we'll
carb,
see. Let's
nutritious, hydrating.
Yes, I am. I'm curious. Now, I was just downstairs. Sarah and I just got some food from one of our favorite barbecue joints. Delicious. Sweetwood barbecue for any locals that might want to try it. Ooh, so good. And food that we can eat. You know, we both have fucked up food allergies or intolerances, shall we say. And while I was down there, she popped her head in the fridge and said something about, like, do you want one of these Trulies or do you want some of these Trulies? I guess her mom bought some when they were all at the beach a couple weeks back. And I was like, I don't want a fucking Truly. And then I was like, actually, you know what? In the spirit of Christopher F. Hart, and I do think this is a tit for tat, lying on a bed of nails live on the show for All for Science, I thought that, I know that this is one of Christopher's favorite beverages. Now, I don't know if I have one of the flavors that he's fond of, but it is a truly hard seltzer. Now, I just grabbed one that sounded tolerable, black cherry lemonade. Now, before the show, I teased that I would be doing this, and I sent a photo of the can, and John Mark said something like, well, with graphic design like that, it has to be good. And I hadn't really thought about it, oddly enough, but it does sort of look like a can of Axe. Doesn't it? It's just a jet black can. I mean, it's not bad design, but it doesn't appeal to me, but
no.
Nor would it in general. Now, what's funny is that after that pleasant dinner, it's a beautiful spring day here, the cherry blossoms, just a slight warm breeze drifting over the orchard. And it's like, this is the perfect time. I'm about to bullshit with my boys. Got a cigar on deck. I poured myself an IPA. I've got a whiskey ready to go. My usual, 2-drink scenario for the podcast. But before we get to that, that came through nicely. I am going to sip. Okay, now, just smelling it, I feel like I know what it's going to taste like. Boy, it almost smells like it could be X. Not necessarily in a bad way. It smells kind of, cologne-y, perfumey. Okay, so I'm going to take my first sip. Did I say that it was black cherry lemonade?
I don't remember.
No, Christopher, I got going down. I cut myself off. So Christopher was like, now here's the caveat. Do you like sudsy drinks or you like carbonated drinks? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, you got black cherry lemonade. Do you like black cherry lemonade? I don't think I've ever had anything black cherry lemonade, but I like black cherry and I like lemonade.
I think Coke actually made something similar to that.
Yeah, I like black cherry cola and seltzer water. So I'm going to give this a go. Now, I have mixed booze with... go ahead.
When you take a sip, though, here's what I want you to think about. It really does try to mimic a lemonade with a carbonation to it. Like, that's what it's meant to taste like. So, think of it like that.
Yeah, and I don't like super sweet drinks. But
so
I don't think... I'm not trying this with the hope that, this is going to be my new shit. But, it is sweeping the niche, and as Christopher F. Hart's favorite beverage of choice these days, or at least one of them. Now, what is your favorite Truly flavor?
Good question. There's a, what is it? It's like there's a mango one that's pretty fucking dope. I like mango. Mm-hmm. And there's like a berry one that's pretty good too.
I don't tend to like anything berry.
So you like the Fermundas?
The what?
The Fermundas.
The Fermundas down under us?
Oh, from under these nuts. Oh,
okay. Well, without further ado, let's take a sip here.
I do.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool period.
Cool.
We were just talking about that too. Let me take one more sip. Okay. Well,
both those noises.
As I suspected. Now this does have sugar and it has very little sugar, 1 gram of sugar. The rest is sweetened with stevia. Now, a lot of the sugar-free sodas that I will drink or other carbonated beverages are sweetened with monk fruit or stevia, maybe a combination of both. But I have tried mixing alcohol with the one sweetened with stevia, and it just doesn't play. There's something, it just brings out the weirdness of the stevia. This is kind of giving me those same notes. Let me take one more drink. I will say this, it is more refreshing than I had expected. It's not terribly fizzy. It's not very carbonated. It could be that this, I'm trying one can. It could be that it just maybe got a little sun, wasn't refrigerated completely. But overall, it's not bad. And it's not as cloyingly sweet as I had anticipated. Try one more sip.
Well, technically, there's not anything sweet. Lemon's not sweet.
Well, sugar and stevia are sweet.
Sure.
Lemonade is something that I love and I do find refreshing. But after like 3 sips of your typical lemonade, that's a lot of sugar, son. So lemonade is typically pretty sweet. The black cherry, I'm trying to analyze all the data here. Well, I'm kind of surprised because I'll say this. I can see myself drinking an entire one of these if there was nothing else around and we were all just like shooting the shit. And it's like, we're out of beer, no whiskey.
Loosey-goosey.
I'll take one more. I'll pop one of these and that should be
I also think
right.
other flavors might be better. And if you're not a sweet guy, go into Classic Claw, as they say on the streets.
Yeah,
White Claw.
Yeah, White Claw is the real one.
It's like the LaCroix. It's like the LaCroix of the, so it's flavored, but it's not more fizz, maybe a little less, tones the flavor down a little bit.
Well, I'm feeling it already. It's got your booze in there. This is my first drink of the night. So what do we got here? 5%. Okay, that's about where my IPA is. Although I've only got a few sips, so I question that. It feels a little stronger than that, honestly.
No, they should be. They're all about 5%. I think I've had Bud Light makes a platinum seltzer that I've tried, and I think it's fucking gross. It's 8% seltzer, and it just tastes like they're trying to cover up the alcohol taste with bad flavoring. You know what I'm talking about? Like
that's what it tastes like when you mix booze with the stevia carbonated drinks. That's my biggest problem with this. I think that it's actually a pretty good balance, pretty good flavor balance, and I'm surprised. It's not like a Mike's Hard Lemonade sweetness. So that's pretty good, but there is that sort of strange, like medicinally, I know stevia is natural, or I think it's natural, but it still tastes chemically to me. Like, I guess chemicals can be natural, but there's just some flavor combination about that. There's also one other note, and I like the drink. I'd like going down. I think it's nice. The finish, I think, is what I have a problem with, because that's where I get this other note that reminds me of, I hope I don't ruin this drink for anybody out there.
That's probably the stevia.
It reminds me of Rolaids or Tums.
Interesting.
Which I don't like. I mean, who does?
The secret is you just never stop drinking. And
that would be the artificial flavoring, probably.
That is true. You just keep a drinking. It's pretty chuggable, I'm guessing. Like I said, not a lot of mouthful of suds. It's not overbearingly sweet. So, I'm surprised. I was expecting to hate that more. So, I get
awesome.
I get getting behind one of those. Well, some other time, maybe I'll try. Maybe when I come up to visit sometime, Chris, I'll try one of your assortments. And if I don't like it, you can always finish it.
We'll have a sampling, a tasting, if you want.
We'll have my favorite flight of Trulies.
A flight. No. Let me tell you, the best one I've ever had, and it's hard to find, but Alaska, the beer company, makes a seltzer pack, and it's so fucking good. It's just, they're really delicious. Like, not overly sweet, just really flavorful in the right way. Like, it tastes like real fruit almost.
I'd like to try one that was just pure sugar. And get rid of the stevia, but balance the sugar in the same way. That's
pretty much just
not sweeter. Just however, if they could knock the sweetness down to what they've got developed in this little can, I think with the natural flavor of cane sugar, I think it might be an enjoyable drink, and I could definitely see pouring it over like some shave ice. Hot summer's day. Pretty tasty through a straw. I'd sip that.
I've made like Tom Collins with this as the mixer, basically, as the seltzer. And it's alcohol on alcohol. It's not a pretty picture, but it's
a crime we can all agree upon. Alcohol on alcohol. Well, there you have it, folks. Now we're even, Chris. You laid on a bed of nails, and I tried seltzer. I
laid on fucking glass all over my floor for 30 minutes while you had a few sips of a delicious bev. Yeah, we're pretty much even. Yeah,
all even, squared away. Well, it's all up to you guys what you want to talk about. It's a news episode. I've got quite a few stories. And before I turn it over to you guys and the news portion, I got to talk about this hilarious little beef, pun intended, between Neil deGrasse Tyson and, you guessed it, Steak-Umm. Did you guys see this at all? It's a silly little story, but it made me chuckle. No. So are you familiar with Steak-Umms? Those little like pre-cooked, thinly sliced beef things for your French
the worst
dips
of the worst.
Yeah, I always thought they looked delicious as a kid from the commercials, but I tried them once and they tasted like a beef flavored hat. But it's been a long time since I've tried it. But so Steak-Umm inexplicably kind of started a bit of a Twitter spat with old Neil. Not that he's really paying it much attention, but lots of other people are. So it all started just a couple of days ago when Neil made a pretty simple and typical post on his Twitter that said, "The good thing about science is that it's true whether or not you believe in it." To which Steak-Umm's responded, "Log off, bro."
Wow.
Now, at first I thought, well, I wonder if this is coming from some sort of like political stance. Maybe Steak-Umm is about to show some sort of political colors or an anti-science thing. I don't know. But lots of people ended up siding with Steak-Umm here. And I got to say, a bit of myself included. You'll see why in a bit. But Steak-Umm later, I think it's Steak-Umm's, later elaborated that they thought that this was not a good idea. This kind of post could actually cause people to become more skeptical of science. Here's the thing. I say it all the time because I get annoyed by this sort of relatively new love affair with quote unquote science, with these silly sort of statements like I'm with science or I fucking love science, these kinds of phenomenon, for the simple reason that it doesn't really mean anything. I mean, scientists and science books are constantly contradicting or arguing and updating what we regard as scientific fact. So you can believe in something one scientist is saying that is completely contradicted by another scientist in the same field, and then later we find out that the one you backed was wrong. So which science are you with now? I know this is kind of silly, but what many of these people, I think they're just trying to sound smart. They're just trying to sound like, I live to be scientifically blown away. But it's kind of the pop culture phenomenon that goes in with that. Anyway, I'll listen to, what I think people mean on the non-bullshit end of that is, I'll listen to science before I listen to politicians or religious figures or celebrities or certain industries. But a lot of it is just people trying to look smart on social media. Anywho, this is kind of like the way that people say they're sapiosexual on dating apps when all the people that they date in real life are just fucking morons. Calling yourself a sapiosexual, I think, has become one of those trendy things like, I'm book smart. I'm turned on by books and nerds and sexiness. And like, well, okay, that's baby. Neat if it was true, but we see who you're spending time with. And I don't know. It doesn't really line up there. Anyway, that's why I like it when someone sort of takes the focus of these conversations to the next level. Because any dingus can say, I love science, but even talking about rudimentary facts on any scientific topic usually thins the herd pretty quickly, right? Like if they don't have the ability to look up something on Google, if you're in the same room, those conversations fall apart, much like politics. Anyway, so Steak-Umm says, the irony of Neil's tweet is that by framing science itself as true, he's influencing people to be more skeptical of it in a time of unprecedented misinformation. Science is an ever-refining process to find truth, not a dogma. No matter his intent, this message isn't helpful. So people started chiming in, like, who the fuck is Steak-Umm's to step to, Neil deGrasse Tyson. But they also got a lot of love and support. Here is your obligatory thread to remind people that we're a brand selling products. And that gives a link to their website. So everything we do is based in self-interest to grow our business. And they signed it, Steak-Umm Bless. Steak-Umm Bless. Now that's amazing. And it kind of proved to me that this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like maybe Steak-Umm was one of these companies founded in religion, or, maybe a more conservative slant. I feel like if that were true, they would not have deitized their meat product, even jokingly. But Steak-Umm goes on, science itself isn't true. Did I already read that? Oh no, it's a constantly refining process used to uncover truths based in material reality. And that process is still full of mistakes. And they spelled mistakes as in the meat. You guys following?
And we all should, yes.
Neil just posts, they go on to say, Neil just posts ridiculous sound bites like this for clout, and he has no respect for epistemology. Did I say that right, John Mark? Epistemology.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
I kind of fucking agree. I know a lot of people adore Neil, and I don't hate him, but I've always found him to be a bit insufferable on many levels, and he really does just kind of.
He can be a bit
in a pop
pompous
culture way. Like
yeah,
he'll
for
just
sure.
shit on, this is not what this part of Star Wars is bullshit. Or, it's just like stupid little tidbits. Like I rarely hear him actually talking real scientific shit. It's just kind of like, I don't know. And I'm not saying that there isn't room for whatever it is that he is and what he does, but I just think that he's kind of full of his own shit a little more than he should be. So I'm kind of liking Steak-Umm here. And it gets a bit spicier as one reader asked Steak-Umm's, what's your beef? Pardon the pun. And
What's your beef, turkey?
Steak-Umm's replied, just sick of Neil's games. So then Steak-Umm got more love from science, from the science and medicine community, including this tweet from Dr. David Gorski. And this is kind of a typical thing that he's hearing. Seeing a frozen meat company drag Neil for intellectually sloppy thinking is not something you see every day. Worse for Neil, the frozen meat company is correct. So a lot of people were starting to weigh in. Of course, a lot of people were, supporting their boy, Neil. And so far, the only direct tweet I have seen from Neil addressing this, and it wasn't even addressed specifically to Steak-Umm's, but he said, and I quote, if you have the urge to argue with my previous tweet, before you do, please spend 4 minutes reading this post, which links to an article that Neil himself wrote about why science works. So I was like, please do the research about why I'm right. Here's a 4-page article written by me about why I'm
That's great.
Bold, fucking bold.
So now that's where we are to date. Again, this just happened, so we will keep you glued to this unfolding processed meat saga. But you got to love it. This is the kind of stuff that I love on Twitter, where it's yes, it's kind of bullshit. But if it's going to be bullshit, it may as well be sort of relatively harmless bullshit. But I also think there are some interesting points made by Steak-Umm here. I think that we should be a little more thoughtful instead of just making these random sweeping statements that can have the complete opposite effect that you're going for, because there is this next level way of thinking, which is, okay, but you keep talking like science is some sort of singular entity. and that it is always what it is, and that it's always bankable, and that it's always this one thing. It's really strange. I don't know why we sometimes do that, but it's so inaccurate. And when you hear people saying that, it's kind of dismissive and insulting. It's just like, look to science, look to science, look to science. Like, okay, well, which science? Which scientist doing which scientific study? And, we are constantly changing the rule books on science. So I don't think that's terribly appropriate to just say, I'm with science. Because you're basically just saying, well, I'm with a lot of things that are right, and I'm with a lot of things that are wrong. But maybe we won't know they're wrong until tomorrow, and then I'll jump on that board. But there will still be people thinking that the old model is correct. We still don't have one singular evolution theory, even though it's taught in school. There are people that dispute that, fellow evolutionists that dispute any one change, because nothing has been like fully connected or fully explained. And like the religious aspect or creationism itself, there are holes. At some point, you are kind of taking a leap of faith, but that's true of science to some degree. I mean, we don't call it faith, we call it hypothesizing. We take educated guesses and we make scientific theory, but we don't know until we know. And when we know, sometimes we have to unknow what we knew before. So it's a complicated thing. And I think it is kind of insulting and disingenuous, and maybe it is a little divisive to overly simplify it with those kinds of pop culture catchphrase, soundbite terms. So good on you, Steak-Umms. I still don't want to eat you, but I'm curious to see if this goes anywhere. And now that it's become such a big story, I saw it on a few different sites. Maybe Neil himself will have to weigh in at some point, but probably not.
Okay, I got a story I had to bring up. For years, I'd love to know how many years, we have been talking about the Boston Dynamic robots. Mm-hmm. The ones that look like dogs. They have ones that kind of look like humanoids, and every year,
every time we see them,
every single time.
Yeah,
I mean,
terrifying monsters.
I mean, for how many? 10 years maybe. I mean, we started talking about this. Way into Space Pod days, right?
Yeah.
We've been every single. You're right. Every single wave is just a little scarier. We know what it's heading towards. Mm-hmm. Well, here's a story for you with pictures. The French Army is testing Boston Dynamics robot in combat scenarios.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Teach them to shoot. Well. Teach them to load their own guns. Teach them where we keep the guns. What could go wrong?
Are they tethered?
Now, the ones that appear to be in these photos it's the dog version, but. Look at these shots. I sent it over Messenger.
Robot dogs with guns.
Yeah.
We've really done it. Yikes.
That's not too terrifying, but
when you see where it's going.
Well, I know, but when they were tethered and they had obviously a plug-in, they weren't that terrifying, but
tethered. Oh, you mean
tethered, from a power source.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have they have an internal power source, and they could do things, jump 20 fucking feet in the air, and
Well, most of those ones that they had tethered was because they were still in the testing and they hadn't fully.
Well, I know.
Worked out,
testing environment. You got to
gyroscopes. they hadn't fully worked out the gyroscopes so that they were able to. Most of the tethers I've seen were for the two-legged model, which they still haven't quite.
Walk into a coffee shop. You got an outlet I can charge my war dog?
Well, it wasn't for charging. It was for keeping it. It was for keeping it stable, upright.
I'll ruin my joke, John Mark.
Facts, science, Ron. Follow the science.
Follow science.
I need a re-rarge.
Re-rargation. Go ahead, Lau.
I just said I seen footage of the ones that were tethered out in the outdoor field being tested. Footage of it, at the beginning when the first story came out. So it's I get it. I'm just saying it's to see something like that crawling down the street, without any kind of power support. It's just there and it will get you.
Yeah, they got more stable and quieter.
You can't outrun them.
No, normally it's so harmless. Watch this robot slip on this banana.
You guys have all seen that.
Put away dishes. Watch this robot storm a fucking room with a rifle. That's what we're getting to.
You guys have all watched that episode of Black Mirror, right?
No.
I've only seen a couple episodes.
Metalhead, I think it's called. You should watch it. It has absolutely everything to do with these type of robot dog things. It's fucking terrifying.
Mark, just throw another fucking recommendation at us. Just like that.
Christopher's writing that down.
I can't.
All right, so where are we going with the dogs? I'm almost afraid to ask. I gotta see
that's
this.
That's pretty much the gist of the story. They're using it in military
we don't
exercise.
show the guns yet.
No, but I bet right here, if I'm looking at this, I bet it's in that follow mode where it's programmed to move, with the person and maybe just observe with cameras and I don't know. I don't see any weapons on it.
I accidentally loved that photo in the comment in the text
I
thread.
saw it and I was like,
just trying to blow it up. I love war dogs. The dogs.
It's probably it probably has some sort of like infrared or some kind, something like that. Like
great.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it's got. Some kind of sensors or something.
Yeah.
Well,
feeding directly to their HUDs.
Mm-hmm. What are we doing? In the end, what are we really doing? I mean, this is kind of a thing where you can picture it so clearly, a future that's pretty grim, and the robots. I don't know that they could take over everything, but they could certainly start a fucking war, which will have dire consequences, or at least one of them could go berserk in a mall. Just think of what that could end up being. This is right out of RoboCop, but you can imagine.
You ever seen Chopping Mall, Ron?
Yeah, exactly. That's a classic. I think we showed that at Radar, but you can see a scenario where we're looking back on these days and the past 10 years, thinking like, I remember talking about it, and I remember thinking, this could end badly. Why did we keep it going? It's like we have all these opportunities to stop.
My favorite is that compilation where it shows them all like kicking the robots over and over again as they self-right themselves, and some falling down, and then it just kicks to T2 where the robot skull, the robot crushes the human skull.
Yeah.
It's like, this is how we get this.
Yeah, whoever edited that together, it's brilliant because it's funny, and it's like, but I think I got chills whenever I was like, oh, Jesus. With like dramatic music, kicking these things over like Chappie. Chappie feels fair.
Chappie's scared.
Is it Chappie? For some reason, it doesn't sound right.
I couldn't handle that movie, man. It was just
I didn't enjoy it.
It was bad. It was so bad.
I remember we talked about it in depth on the show. I didn't like it either.
We should do a rewatch. We should do a fucking.
God. I don't know if I could sit through it.
Come on, John Mark. What was the worst part? Was it Diane Tedford?
No, just everything. Everything was bad. Like, I mean, the special effects were good. That's it. I mean, everything else was just like,
that it was just too sad. It was just too, it wasn't fun.
The ending had a positive note to it.
See, I got depressed. I guess spoilers to some degree, but I got so depressed when Chappie was finally free of those shitheads that were turning him into a shithead. And then he got scared of the big bad world and not knowing what to do. He just went back to the shitheads. I did get a poignancy out of that. That's like, God, that's so sad because that's what we do in life. Like people who grow up in meth lab homes or abusive homes, and they're just like kids, and they're turning into shitheads themselves because of course they will. And even when they get those little breaks and to be free and go do what they want, it's like they don't have the tools, they're not equipped, or they're too frightened of the world to do anything, or they're just too young. And so they just go back and likely probably just slip into that lifestyle and be a shithead for the rest of their life. Those cycles are hard to break. So I got a poignancy out of all of it. I just found it depressing, and I got tired of hearing Chappie feels fair. I don't know. It wasn't what I wanted it to be. Maybe that's the biggest problem I had with it. Sometimes you go into a movie and you just want it to be a thing. And when it's so far away from that thing, you kind of resent it for not reading your mind and making the movie you wanted. It's a silly thing, but it happens.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I was with it too, where it was I was expecting something, and what I got was not at all what I thought I was going to get. And I was just like, what the fuck? And I don't know. There was just a bunch of elements to it that I just didn't enjoy. I was like, why are you doing this to me, Neil?
Yeah, because District 9 I thought was a good movie. Now that one was depressing too.
That depressed me more.
That was a depressing movie too, but that I did think had kind of a beautiful ending where I thought with Chappie, I don't know, I just felt Chappie was too predictable, I suppose. But
what else has he done? You know?
He did Elysium as well with Matt Damon.
Oh, I like that movie. That was good.
I
I
liked Elysium quite a bit, actually. It has its problems, but I liked that and what it was trying to say too. I really like the worlds that he conjures up, and I just wish that he made like the perfect movie in those worlds, you know, in that universe. Have you guys watched the Oats Studios stuff?
No, I don't know what that is.
That's Neil Blomkamp's. Like he's got like he has all these like experimental reels that he's done, like test shoots for like films that they're like short films that he hasn't made like full features out of or anything. It's like all like it's like special effects tests and like kind of like you should check it out. I think it's on Prime. It's like Oats Studios. There's a bunch of short films. It's fucking great, dude.
Did he make
so much good stuff?
Short about the giant robots that are like they invaded Earth? I feel like it was in some South American country, maybe Mexico or something. There's these giant robots. And I can't remember the exact premise, but I know like at the end they all sort of huddle together and they cause like this giant nuclear. They're like, you know what? Fuck this planet.
Was it a real short, like a super?
Yeah, it was a short.
Was that? I think that was the guy that went on to direct the Evil Dead movie. Am I wrong?
He hit that. I feel like he's
viral. That hit like his little
the new Evil Dead movie,
like the robots attacking the city. Yeah,
of Latin descent or
yeah.
I feel like it wasn't in English.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I don't know why I was confusing those.
Watch that shit. There's some fucking great stuff on there.
I don't know if this was a story that came up on News Quiz or Weird Trivia, or if we brought it up at all on the show, but there's something really familiar about the story of that guy who there was some controversy with his boss who owned an auto shop, and he didn't give him his last paycheck, so he like threatened to sue, and so he finally gave it to him in pennies that were covered in oil. Well, there's an update. Speaking of happy endings, do you have that info in front of you first, Chris?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
Oh, I do. Yeah. Fade Alvarez. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that does.
Uruguay.
Sound right. Yeah.
A writer director known for Don't Breathe, Evil Dead, The Girl in the Spider's Web. But I think he started with this viral fucking
short film.
I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
El Ultimo Alvarez.
It doesn't sound familiar.
That's kind of what put Neil Blomkamp on the map too, right? He made some kind of weird short and it got noticed.
I think that's why I'm confusing the two. Like there was
similar
origin story.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm going to read this straight off the HuffPost. So it was Andreas Flatten of Fayetteville, Georgia, who originally found a pile of 91,515 pennies on his driveway in March with a note attached to them that read, "Fuck you."
Yeah, it's so fucked up.
It is. According to interviews given by Flatten to local media, the penny pile was the work of Miles Walker, owner of the A.O.K. Walker Auto Works body shop in Peachtree City, Georgia. And Walker had reportedly denied Flatten his last paycheck and only acquiesced after Flatten contacted Georgia Department of Labor. So the dude soaked the pennies in oil and dropped them off at his fucking driveway. What a fucking cunt. But again, a happy ending. Goes on to say...
But did you hear he was hand cleaning them in his garage every night?
He was trying. It says here that he didn't get very far. But Coinstar, of course known for its coin cashing kiosks, came to Flatten's assistance after his story went viral. The company picked up the heaps of coins which Flatten had stored in a wheelbarrow with wheels that had deflated from the staggering weight, and gave him $1,000 in cash. It was a shock. And
where did he?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, where did he even fucking get? Where did the dude even get that much change? Because aren't we having a national change shortage right now? What the fuck?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
That's a lot of fucking pennies, man. I don't care how many of those glass jugs you got filled with pennies.
You have to work to get that many pennies, right?
Well, that's how big of an asshole. That's how big.
He goes on to say, flatly says, it was a shock and frustrating to be paid in this manner, and it was an extra burden that the pennies were covered with an oily substance. Flatten said in a press release, I was spending an hour or two every night trying to clean the pennies and probably only cleaned off about $5 worth.
Wow.
Can you imagine how long it would take to scrub oil off of 500 pennies? And you probably would be like, just fuck it. But, you know, he got fired or he lost his job and times are tough in the middle of a pandemic. You need $1,000. I'd be sitting down trying something too. Poor guy.
I'd put my fucking kid to work. I'd be like, here you go, bro.
No shit. You can keep one out of every 10 you de-oil. Jim Garrity, Coinstar CEO, said the company processes approximately 41 billion coins annually. So picking up 91,000 pennies was all in a day's work.
And that is such good PR for Coinstar.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity because it is tits to them. Send a fucking machine out or just grab the coins and, you know, do what you want. But yeah, what a cunt, that guy. And I don't know the deets of their relationship, but there are ways, no matter what happened, there are ways to handle things. And then there are ways to not handle things, right? Like this could not have been grand for his auto biz. I mean, everyone knows his name. Everyone knows the name of his company. The douche.
Yeah. I can't imagine it's good for him at all.
I got another quick one here. The Lizzie Borden house just sold. And, you know, they got a lot of folks wondering, myself included, if it was going to be closed off to the public. Because for anyone that doesn't know, the home has been being run as a tour shop, gift shop, and bed and breakfast. You could actually stay in the fucking murder rooms.
That's great.
So it seems like not only will that continue, but the new owners say they plan to expand operations and add more merchandise and that sort of thing, including a Lizzie Borden brand of, can you guys take a guess?
Axes.
It was axes. So soon you will be able to buy a Lizzie Borden brand axe where she allegedly took her own axe and chopped her folks up. It's funny. I was thinking when I read that, it's funny how tacky and heartless we can be about things if just enough time has passed, right? Like, can you imagine making a home? Well, let's take that case famously here in Wenatchee that we brought up on the show before. That happened near the house that Chris used to rent when he lived here. That dude cut his mother's head off and put the body and maybe the head along with it, I can't remember, on the front steps, leaving passerbys, most of which were on their way to school. The high school was right up the street.
Yeah, I think it was just that. To
assume that it was just a really good Halloween prop. Can you imagine if the flack that you would get, even today, if you tried to turn that house into like a murder-themed bed and breakfast? I mean, like 30 years after the crime, I think you'd have a hard time getting people to go along with that. And yet we sometimes do. I wonder how many years it would take. I think everyone who's alive when it happened would probably have to be dead before that would be accepted. But at some point, that little house on, what is it, Ferry or Russell at that point? It's one of those streets that turns into another street.
I think it's Ferry.
Yeah. And that little house could be a bed and breakfast with photos, crime scene photos, newspaper clippings, all of which will show you the original crime scene, and you could spend the night in, you know, the don't lose your head bed and breakfast on Ferry Street. You know, it's like, it gives me weird feelings even saying that out loud, but that's what we do with the fucking Lizzie Borden house. That's what we do with some of these other haunted places where terrible things have happened, you know?
Yeah.
I got one more that I'm going to save for just a little bit. I want to let you guys sneak in with any more stories you got.
Yeah, what was that? Was that Truly or whiskey?
Oh, the Truly's shoved away.
It's shoved away violently.
Go back and forth between the Space Dust IPA and
that's a great beer.
I think I'm drinking. Actually, I'm not drinking bourbon. What am I drinking? Oh, yeah, it's bourbon or rye. Evan Williams and TJ brought me a bottle of it. Our beloved TJ. Gift that keeps on giving.
It's funny. She wrote me an email or a message on Facebook when we put up that St. Patrick's Day show, and she goes, "I heard you talking about you're playing The Witcher on our last podcast, and I love that game. And I was like, what? At first, I was like, I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. I haven't played The Witcher in a year.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a
rerun.
Rewind.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's right. And I was like, yeah. And she goes, next time you're in Wenatchee, I need your help with something. I'm like, what? And there's a point in the game where you have to do a really tricky shot to fucking progress the story in the right way.
Yeah.
She's like, I can't do it. She's like, I fucking tried 1,000 times. It's just a ridiculous thing. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'll stop by and do that. I was like, I can't wait.
I remember the days of having to have someone come over and do a particular move so you could continue. I'm sure I relied on Lyle to handle a couple of things, especially in the early days of Mega Man 2 when he was better at it than I was. And then I started just playing it all the fucking time. I could play that game half blindfolded, one eye tied behind my blindfold. But
wow,
yeah, that was hard. Batman was another hard one. Good Lord. I think to this day, I've only even made it to the Joker.
Oh, the NES Batman game?
Yeah. That game.
That's a tough game.
Those games, there was Batman and Batman Returns, I think. I think they were both by Sunsoft. Those games had such great music and amazing graphics for the time that they came out. It must have been 1990. The movie Batman was in 89, so the video game probably came out in 90. And, it looked like Michael Keaton. It looked like it was also one of the earliest games that I can recall that had cutaway scenes. It would show the Batmobile driving into Gotham City, and it would like spin out and there'd be some text on the bottom. Or it'd show the Joker kind of dancing up close to the screen with the background moving, and it would say, do you ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? But It's those fucking graphics, like the little lightning jags on the just shit going on in the background, all those little TV monitors. That stuff was so mind-blowing in 1990. But it was also an addictive game to play where, it was kind of like that Ninja Gaiden thing where you could hop off the walls. You had to ping pong back and forth, and you really had to get that shit down because later on in the game, you'd have to go up those crazy towers, and if you barely fucked that jump up, you'd hit the lightning, or you'd hit one of the dudes or the robots. Really challenging but satisfying game. But yeah, I only made it to the Joker, I think, a couple of times. Never even got close. You remember how when you died, just vaporized into like flame? It's like, boom, 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 boom. That music is forever burned into my brain because I must have heard it 8.7 million times.
I came across a couple stories. This, I don't want to butcher his name, and this is kind of convoluted story. It's kind of like this guy kind of hints a little bit at this, but his name's Max Hodak. Mm-hmm. He is the vice president, or he's the co-founder with Elon Musk for was it Neuralink company? And it doesn't really specify. It sounds like it's biodiversity kind of a business apparently, but like he tweeted like kind of like hints of maybe starting a Jurassic Park. Like this is tweet for like it was April 3rd.
To the fucking robots with dogs. I feel like Hollywood and fiction has kind of done the work for us in terms of let's see how this goes.
As such, it goes, we could probably build a Jurassic Park if we wanted to. Wouldn't be genetically authorized dinosaurs, but, and put a little hands up in the air. It says maybe 15 years of breeding plus engineering to get super exotic novel specimens. So he's kind of like hinting at it, like, we could. But sure. What's stopping anybody from actually doing that?
I thought we brought a story on it. I thought we had a story that we brought up that said it's actually not possible because DNA has a shelf life of so many million years or something, and they couldn't recreate it.
Well, it sounds like that's what he's saying. We couldn't do it authentically like that, but we could come up with our own way of doing it. It sounds like he's talking like a mixture of maybe bioengineering.
Well, there's a lot of things. They used to think raptors came from like chickens or something, like birds or something like. So if you took like the DNA from each,
it's more like the island of Dr. Moreau than Jurassic Park.
It'd be 15 years of it. You know, it'd be a different. My thing is like, what if they did that and like say a megalodon? So you just take a big shark and you make it fucking like 20 times bigger and you throw it out in the ocean and see if it survives. You know what I mean? Or like let's genetically modify and make a thunderbird and stick it in the California's fucking desert, the dead zone, where there's nothing there that lives. See if it survives. You know what I mean? How terrifying would that be?
Pretty fucking terrifying.
Yeah, and all of a sudden he's this giant fucking thunderbird.
Well, here's the thing. From time to time, we hear about some fucked up study or what's the word? Experiment that's going on. And we're like, wait, what? They're trying to do what? And we don't hear about anything until there's either failure or some sort of success or years down the road. So somewhere right now, somebody is probably trying to tinker together new types of animals, if not make versions of old types of animals. There are plenty of people who are still trying to bring back the dodo bird using some sort of DNA or cloning technology. So it's just, we'd never stop thinking we're clever enough to attempt nature and true scientific phenomena. We think, yeah, we got this. We're ready. We're ready to create the dodo bird. Well, that version of the dodo bird could murder you and go on to fly and murder other people because you don't know what you're fucking with. It'll probably more likely just be like the Jeff Goldblum version of The Fly, where, was it a dog or something came off the other side? It was one of the most troubling scenes in horror movie history for that young Ronster. It's just like this horrible creature, just like, girl, man.
Putting the shotgun to his head. Do it.
Was that Cronenberg? It was Cronenberg that did that remake of The Fly, wasn't it? With Jeff Goldblum? Fucking fucked up, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's reminding me more of the island of Dr. Moreau.
Well, you gotta think that out there, and I'm not just talking here. I'm talking like out there, the entire world. There's got to be somebody that is so sadistically, involved with trying to do something like that, of making a creature, that it has to exist. Somewhere.
I just watched. I suppose this is a mini what we're watching. So if you guys got anything new to throw into that, now would be a good time before we get back to the news. But I was just watching this documentary on Netflix, and it was about the art theft at, God, I can never remember, the Gardner Museum. It was like a Vermeer was stolen. A whole bunch of important paintings were stolen. I think the Vermeer is sad because there's only so many of those left in the world, and I think a handful of them have been stolen. And then there was Christ at the Storm of the Sea of Galilee. That one, the most famous one's missing from the museum. But it was this just story about how this art heist came down. They have no idea what those paintings are. I think they did it's kind of a mystery of who exactly did it and how and for who, but I think they did a pretty good job of pointing you to who probably stole those paintings. But it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to walk those into the fucking black market and just make a sale without getting anybody's attention? These are the most famous paintings in the world right now, and they're not going to stop being super famous and super hot. This is not like stealing a car stereo. So the question is, who wanted those paintings? Well, we have enough evidence, whether this is where they ended up or not. We have enough evidence of other art heists that often they just go to some crazy rich motherfucker who has the world's most impressive basement gallery. And
I was going to say, either the people that did that are just idiots because they know they don't realize they can never sell them, or someone's like, I want these, go get them, and it's like someone who has the funds. And exactly,
it's such a strange story, though. You got to watch that. I'm spacing the name of it, but it should be easy to hunt down with the information I've given you. But the reason I got going down there is like, there are people with endless piles of cash, and they want what they want. And maybe they're crazy, and maybe they're just egotistical and insanely rich. And how many of those would you need to pay off a couple of scientists, a couple of top men, to take some cloning technology, mix it with maybe some shit that, who knows, maybe the fucking Nazis were even onto something. They were onto something with a lot of the other experiments they were doing. The Nazis were insane because they would just kind of take a cat, cut its head off, glue it to something else, sew some wings on it, plug it into the wall, and see what happens. But they have top scientists and top engineers working for them. We got one of them. He's the one that put us on the fucking moon. a former Nazi
I know.
scientist put us on the moon.
I know that this could be said for any of us on this podcast, but god damn, I'd love a compilation of every time you said top anything. Just like, I think of this all the time. I'm like, man, I've heard Ron say that a lot. I love it. I wish I had a comp of it. Just like a fucking great. It'd be so funny.
Well, it's funny. Sarah was just saying that she listened to an episode going way back and then listened to the most recent one that posted. And I had said like the exact same phrase about the exact same subject. And I was like, yeah, I hear that sometimes too, and it weirds me out, but really it's just, it just illustrates how repetitive I am. And when you tell a story, after you've told a story one or two times, you're going to tell that story how you told that story forever. And, the story becomes its thing more than even the history of living that story. So you tend to even use the same phrases when you, recap a tale. But anywho, that was a sidetrack. But long story short, I suppose it's so easy for me to believe. In fact, I'd have a hard time believing that there weren't crazy rich men out there just paying people to tinker some shit together that could very well be a type of reanimated dinosaur, whether it's going back from original DNA or just monkeyed about with genetics, DNA, cloning. Who knows what the fuck?
Between genomes and like stem cells and stuff like that.
And you got yourself a fucking...
It's easy. It's not difficult to do. That's what I'm saying. It's got to be, it's had to happen at least once.
Someone's going to do it.
They did it with sheep, that when we were...
Brontosaurus, though. Isn't that the one? Is that one that they took off the list? Like they said, maybe that didn't actually exist.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong. I feel like Brontosaurus is, they know, just imagine like a Brontosaurus walking through your town like a cow. It's not Godzilla. It's not a monster. It's just like, what the fuck?
Don't we have bones of what?
I don't know what the story is with the Brontosaurus. Let's look it up. I could have made that up, but I feel like there are a few dinosaurs that we thought existed, but now we think that they're different than what we thought, or they changed. I don't know. Are Brontosauruses real? A new study has found that Brontosaurus, the Pluto of dinosaurs. Oh, it was continuing to do my voice. Are Brontosauruses real? If you grew up loving Brontosaurus only to be told that it wasn't a real dinosaur, it's time to rejoice. Good news, we're back. This is from 2015. It's time to rejoice. The gentle giant may have received a new lease on life. The giant sauropod, long thought to be an Apatosaurus that someone got wrong, was actually its own type of dinosaur all along. So, yeah, I don't know the story. Aislinn might. She's a dinosaur fanatic. Aislinn, if you're out there listening, send an email and explain it so we don't have to look it up. But at one point they decided that, and I think Stegosaurus might have been another one that was taken off the list too. It's like, that didn't really exist. It's not that they didn't exist. It's not like they're saying those kinds of dinosaurs were myths. It's that they just weren't what we thought they were.
No, well, they only found half of the bodies is what it was. They only found half of the preserved of the body, and they just assumed, with other
they connected. They made a theory. They made a hypothesis, an educated guess going back to science. And this is how it goes. So many stories.
A little fun fact is, I think, in like if you go to a museum and whatnot, those dinosaur bones are traditionally all pretty much replicated. They're not real. And the ones that are specifically kind of like hinted to be real are only like, I think 40 or something like that % real. And the rest are made, the bones.
Yeah, they do have, they definitely have complete or mostly complete variations of certain critters. But yeah, most of the ones that you can picture a full dinosaur, they're either put together from a lot of, there's that one religious lady that made her video viral. It's like it's like a dinosaur denier, one of these Christian dinosaur deniers. And she just like she poured a bunch of plaster and then broke it all up into a bunch of bits. And she's like, okay, now imagine you're a scientist and you're going to get paid a whole bunch of money if you discover a scientist. And then you find all these bones. So she dumps out all these jagged and random pieces of plaster. She's like, okay, there you go. Make a dinosaur. I was like, was that supposed to be a point? And she's got this face that's so proud. And that really resonated with a lot of people. It's like, okay, but you realize there are other things that they study and other things that we discover. And so there's a lot. And, fossils, like entire creatures that were burned into the side of a rock. We can see their skeleton. Yeah, go ahead.
My point was not so much that. It was that the replicated pieces were put there because the originals couldn't withstand being in the enclosure, as put together as a skeleton. It was too fragile and too, over the years, just too brittle. So they had to make most of those bones. This is what I'm getting at. They have full skeletal structures like T-Rexes and stuff like that. Yeah. The fact of the matter is like if you go into the museum, only a percentage of it's really real. They take and they make the other bones, because like the ones that they do have are too fragile for display.
Oh yeah, for sure. I feel like one of them is on display though. Isn't the one in? I'm trying to Google it. 2 specimens are best preserved skeletons. There is only one 100% complete skeleton of a Tyrannosaurus ever discovered. Oh, that was in Montana.
Why is this like a glass shattering moment for me? I didn't realize this.
Oh, really? That we didn't have just like full dinos all over the place.
Yeah.
There are more than, yeah, I don't know. It's, the dinosaur thing, there's a lot open for debate, I think, but
there was a lot of fuckery that happened back when they were first discovering all that shit.
Yeah. A lot of politics, a lot of bullshit, a lot of forgeries, and,
listen.
Oh, truly. I love you truly.
Well, what did they find in Montana? Didn't they find like a bunch of skeletal remains of like aquatic?
Well, Montana is a hotbed of fossils and dinosaur bones.
Plate shifted. By the way, did you guys see someone posted? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying they were like aquatic fossils.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of what was considered to be the United States back in the day was covered by oceans.
Mm-hmm.
One point.
I remember thinking that when we used to find like snail shells up on the hills, like the mountain tops and the hilltops in India. I was like, these are fossils. This was all underwater at one point. But then someone pointed out that it's just that the birds are picking them up from the river and flying them up and eating them.
Drop.
But still, pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Okay.
Anyway.
The other story I had was it's long-winded. I don't really want to get into it, but it was like a Russian affiliate official that was basically got caught hoaxing Yeti sightings for tourists back in the 90s, late 90s, until 2018. It was a reign. That's when he was governor. Was 1997 to 2018, and he in his region anyway, he kind of like hoaxed it out. We're like, yeah, we got Yetis. He paid a guy to go out in the woods and scare people for that time period until he just kind of, I think, got caught. So
interesting. Yeah, I mean, going back to the people who were hoaxing dinosaur bones, there's a little mystery why you would do that. Money, fame, whole cottage industry could come out of that. So there is, again, going back to the dinosaur thing one more time. It's just like there's a lot to be discussed. But one thing that I never really felt was a valid discussion was whether they were real or not. I think that's where that lady's video, because she does make some kind of valid points, I suppose, at least to show why so many people doubt it. But when you're going to go ahead and say all of those bones were fake or manufactured, which I guess those people do believe, that's a big conspiracy.
Well, I mean, the fact of the matter is that there were some of those skeletons that were faked quotes, air quotes, as far as like they found bones and tried to mash them together into what they thought the thing should be.
Yeah.
Or say, look, this is what we found, or like, you know what I mean? So they did find stuff. They did find fossils. They did find bones, but they didn't know exactly what they found, and they were trying to present it as something else. So they're not wrong in that regard, but they're also not right because they did find stuff and we did figure it out eventually for the most part.
Yeah.
Well, and for the fact of the matter is, that was millions of years ago. Think about it. I mean, you buried your family dog 20 years ago, and I guarantee you dig him up, he's just going to be a pile of bones.
Mm-hmm.
Dig him up a million years from now, it's going to be dust. So I'm just saying, think about it, a million years.
Well, going back to scientists arguing about scientists, lots of people debate exactly how old the Earth is, about how, what age, when this age began and when this age took it over, what lived with what. There's a lot of oddball science stitching some of those stories together too. So who knows what we'll ultimately discover as time goes on and we get better technology and more understanding and we discover new shit. We weren't privy to the new shit. And so when we find the new shit, it can rewrite the history books all over with one archaeological dig. And think about how we talked about this on the Hollow Earth show years and years ago. You take a jawbreaker, one of those big fat ones that you don't dare put all in your mouth, but we used to. If you looked at that thin outer candy shell and you called that the Earth's outer core, the deepest we have gotten into the Earth is not even halfway through that outer shell. It's not even close to being halfway through that outer shell. So think about what could just be down that next surface level. That could change everything. That's what I'm saying. It's like, before you go dropping all these like soundbitey type things, let's be humble about what science is. Don't whip your dick out like, yeah, I got science on my side, so I'm always right. You don't know shit. Our scientists today don't know shit. Just like the scientists 1,000 years ago didn't know shit compared to what we know now. And we're pretty smart now. That's going to continue. That we're not at some, there's no such thing as like a peak level. I don't care what science fiction will have you believe. I don't believe that there's this peak level that we can get to where we can't possibly be any more intelligent or we can't have more technology. That's going to continue forever. And so we're going to be constantly reinventing the wheel and rewriting the books because we just don't know what's down at that surface level. It's kind of like we've scratched the surface. The next generations will dig a little bit deeper and we will always be, part of the generation that found a T-Rex in Montana and that sort of thing. And then God knows what's down there further. That ground penetrating radar can't even begin to penetrate. We just don't know what's under the earth at all. And that's where all history lies, right? So we shall see. Stay tuned, kids.
Well, it's not even science. It's the just simple fact of life. There's biological life that lives in like tiny little lava tubes at the bottom of the ocean which they shouldn't exist, and they do. So, I mean, what's to say you don't get to the core and you find a whole new species of critters living in lava?
It's always easy for me to imagine that scenario. But I'm glad you brought up the ocean because my last story going to be one for the books for Christopher, as if he needed one more reason to hate the ocean. You got to truly emphasize. So I'm reading this right off list verse because there was no summing it up, really. So when scientists started studying the deep sea, they noticed while white I hope I'm saying this right. White detritus falling like snow throughout the waters, calling it marine snow because of its similarity to above ground precipitation. They realized that it was all the organic material from the upper reaches of the ocean making its way slowly to the depths. Anyone that's had a fish tank knows this is how it works. You know, all the scales that the fish shed, the poop, and all the uneaten food, it all just sinks down to the floors, and this is what's down at the bottom. Oh, it gets better.
It's beginning to look a lot like
oh, the world's worst snow globe.
We go.
So marine snow consists of dust and sand, but also dead plants, animals, copious amounts of marine poop. And marine snow takes weeks to reach the bottom of the ocean and is estimated to cover 3/4 of it. 3/4. At the bottom, it turns into an ooze of corpses and poop that accumulates at a rate of about 6 meters every million years. 6 meters deep, that is, son. So you're not going to land on no, SpongeBob-esque sandy bottom when you fall to the ocean.
Mud.
Hey, Ron,
it's just shit mud.
Shit and corpse mud.
What did the one suckerfish say to the other suckerfish?
What?
Get that shit out of your mouth.
That's good. It goes on to say, almost done here, considering how long the Earth's ocean floor has been serving as the planet's graveyard/toilet, you can imagine just how much of our planet is lined with a thick layer of oozy ancient corpse poop. Yeah. I think I saw ancient corpse poop open for mayhem.
Ancient corpse.
Couldn't that be like fuel? like biofuel?
Who knows what that shit could do? Who knows what that could be, like a miracle cure. It could be a miracle substance. It could replace motor oil.
Let me ask the dumbest question. It sounds so stupid. I'm going to say it out loud anyways. If this surface like solidifies, and how much did you say added every year? A meter for
like 5 meters or something. Was that like
every million years or something? You said.
Yeah, 6 meters every million years. Mm-hmm.
It's a bit.
Does that technically could that raise the sea level?
Yeah.
Oh, it could be. I mean, I don't see how it wouldn't. Even slowly.
Evaporation, yeah.
Yeah, but even with evaporation, you got to think. I mean, that's a significant accumulation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it could be contributing to those ebbing waters.
Sinking tides.
Flowing. Was it flow? Yeah, anyway. The whiskey's kicking in. The Truly's kicking in. The whiskey's almost done. You know what that means. The Truly is still within grasp. I might end up finishing that.
It means we're almost a news quiz, what you're telling me.
Liquid Tums.
What you've been watching? Because I got something that might be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. And there's one more. I'm going to look up the name of that documentary while you're going, Lyle. And there's one more documentary I wanted to mention, but I didn't write it in my notes. So go ahead.
So just a side thing. This next month, it's this next month. Blah. There's a new Resident Evil game coming out called The Village. Parodied to it is a new Netflix original special series with Resident Evil coming up. That's going to be played by Matt Mercer as the main character, Leon. Which, if you don't know who Matt Mercer is, he was a torp of D&D players. Started on what is this? Geek and Sultry or something like that. It was help me out, Chris. Who was the
Geek
founder?
And Sundry. Penny. What's her name?
We've seen her at PAX, right?
I can't remember her name now. I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, the girl from the Guild.
Felicia Day.
Yeah, Felicia Day.
Yeah. So they started out Felicia Day. She owns this company, and it's a production company, and they aired on Twitch and some other places, but they got their contract after a year and was able to take their show, which was called Critical Role. And dude, it is exploded. But he got his start from actually voice acting all of the first Resident Evil. Leon, the character Leon. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
that is one franchise I just don't know shit about. Never played the games, never watched the movies.
Critical Role is just that they play D&D like us, kind of like a podcast forum, but they do it live, with cameras. And Matt Mercer is the DM, and he's just phenomenal. He's one of the best DMs I've ever fucking seen in my life. Storyteller, plot, and they've raised over millions and millions of dollars. I mean, it's stupid. They're all millionaires.
Huh.
They get to do what they like.
That can happen to some people.
It's insane. It's just kind of like Joe Rogan with
the lizard people.
But if you love, the thing is like I don't mind sitting and watching an anime. I'm not going to get into watching like hentai and some other shit like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But the Resident
porn for the last.
No, I don't really need it. The Resident Evil cartoons, like the movies.
Sounds like somebody had a bad experience with their VR headset, Lyle.
It's just too many octopi.
Mm-hmm.
They're phenomenal. They're really, really well put together, and all together, they're a very great, viewing experience. I would say the Resident Evil movies. So there's 3 of them, and I can't remember off the top of my head. But this one, this series coming to Netflix is going to be pretty dope. I'd keep your eyes out for it.
Awesome.
I'll watch it.
That documentary was called Murder, or This Is a Robbery, the World's Biggest Art Heist. It's a documentary series, I believe. And the other one I wanted to just mention briefly is called Murder Among the Mormons. And it's a story that I had heard. I remember seeing the episode of Forensic Files that talked about it, and it involved murder and antiquities concerning like old documents. That's all I'm going to say about it, because if you hadn't seen the Forensic Files episode, and even if you haven't seen it recently, this goes so many interesting twists and turns, and it's a fascinating documentary. And these both popped up on a perfect day for me. I was like, I think I just want to go to bed for a while. And it was like 11 a.m. So I took one of those days and I just watched these documentary series all day long. It was awesome. So I highly recommend those. Anyone else before we move on to... I'm going to play a little something here before we get on to weird trivia, but I want to make sure you guys don't have anything you want to add first.
No, can we take...
let's do weird trivia.
Can we do 2-minute break?
Let's do a break, and then I got a little video or a little audio clip to play to bring us back. So back 2 and 2. Mm-hmm.
Back, present, count of 4.
Go Mark.
Yep.
I've been kind of getting a little bit of a wonder for old Avril Lavigne. I don't know why, but she's been popping up in my Instagram feeds and playing her old songs. I
find her just slightly above Avril.
Well, I can't believe she married fucking Kevin Kruger or what? Kevin
Kruger. That's right. Yeah. I have such a bad headache. Can you give me an Avril?
That's better. That is better. Mm-hmm.
Why'd you have to make things so complicated, Chris?
Wow, what a power couple, huh?
Isn't it? It's crazy.
Krugster and Avril.
Yeah,
not quite Abbott and Costello, but
wasn't she with the guy from Sum 41 before that too?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe.
I think she was.
She's pretty hot.
You think she's hot, huh? I guess I haven't seen Avril. To me, she still looks like, I mean, I close my eyes and I picture her. She still looks like she's 14 with like that super heavy, teenager eye makeup, and, she just looks like a teenager. I feel like that's what she was when I last saw her. I don't think I've seen a picture of Avril Lavigne. And
she's probably in late 30s, dude.
Oh, no, I understand. Let me look it up. Avril Lavigne.
It's not like iCarly. She's not.
I'm surprised you didn't pause and say hot.
Already on too many searches. Actually, she still looks pretty similar.
I'm surprised you didn't say young Avril Lavigne.
Young Avril Lavigne, hot, fuckable. This is how you remind me, Chris. I don't know. All I'm getting at this is her website. That's why. And God, still looks the same to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, little fucking hot teenage. Yeah. Oh, there's a picture of her not all
like raccoon
Hollywood. Well, it's just, everything I'm seeing is like super slick video stuff. There's like a regular picture of her.
Yeah, she did
she's cute.
A live show with Howard Stern. It's worth watching. That she looks older. Obviously, she doesn't look like.
Are you a fan of her music?
I don't mind her voice. You know,
boy.
What? Yeah, I remember. I can't remember what it sounds like. I remember
she's got a little tick in her, and it's the Canadian in her coming out.
Yeah, she's Canadian. Mm-hmm, that's right. Oh, so is Coogie Baby, right?
Mm-hmm. That's probably how they fell in love.
The unholiest Canadian baby. Although, you know, if that kid comes out and rebels, it could be one of the most amazing musicians of our time.
Think about it. Think about how much talent that kid's gonna have. Jesus. Mm-hmm. Not to shit on. I'm not to shit on fucking Kroger.
I will. I'll shit all over him.
Nickelback's really not that bad.
No band.
They get way more shit than
the amount of hate that band has got.
There's way worse out there.
Nobody not nobody, but no band just making fucking music that they want to make deserves the fucking vitriol that band has gotten.
Right?
It just became cool to make fun of Nickelback at some point. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. They're not a bad band. They're just they're a Coors Light band. They make.
And it's not even
that they are.
It's not even like they have a bunch of controversy in their life, like the Kid Rocks in the world, or you know what I mean?
No, that's
to my
the thing.
knowledge,
is like there are people and individuals, and definitely worse bands in terms of music. Like if I had to listen to somebody cranking tunes for an hour and I couldn't escape it, I could probably I could pull you up a shit ton of things that would be way more bothersome than hearing fucking Nickelback's greatest hits.
I got 2 CDs, Limp Bizkit and Nickelback.
See, easy choice, Nickelback.
And imagine it, and it's easy to imagine those two in the same category, in the
same collection,
and CDs,
same concert,
in the same ex-girlfriend's car. Is that what you're getting at, Chris? Sounds very specific. Yeah, it all goes back to you like what you like and you don't what you don't. But at some point, the heaping on gets to be a little fucking abusey, and it's like, dude, you've all seen that clip of them basically getting booed off of some festival, right? Like I don't know where they were, Brazil or some places. They're all like, I thought it's probably not Brazil, but Kroger's. Is it Kroger or Kroger? What is it? Kevin?
It's Kroger.
I don't know.
It's
whatever
Kroger.
the fuck, ramen noodle head. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But he comes out on stage like, I thought that, like, do you guys not want to hear the show? I thought we had fans in Brazil, wherever. And he's like, no, all right, we're going home. So they all just get up and walk. It's like, ooh, that hurts. But there was that video, and I know I sent it to you guys via text a while back, that I think it was a Google or a YouTube ad where he went back and re-recorded. I don't remember which song it was, but it was like, oh, I wish I had it. But it was just like him redoing the lyrics of a song, making fun of himself. Like, is that hair or a bowl of ramen? It was like something that he actually sang. Like, that's fucking hilarious. Like he was able to make fun of himself, which not a lot of our heroes are able to do. No. So this guy, who is like people treat like worse than fucking child rapists, can actually laugh at himself, while the rock gods that so many of us do respect and admire, would slap you for even having the audacity to mock with their hair. But yeah, anyway, it all goes back to the same old thing where everything comes full circle. You can only push and beat on something for so long before everyone else stands up and starts to say, no more. Planet of the Apes type awakening. So before the show, Christopher emailed me this little message. Do you want to set the scene? How you came in? How did this happen?
Yeah. So Ben Morhaime, who is a constant contributor to News Quiz Stories, sent this over. He picked up one of the How Bizarre t-shirts, the one that has the Pandora's box with all the spirits escaping from it. And so his 4.5-year-old kid was talking to him about his shirt. So it's just a couple of minutes of the kid talk, and it just reminded me a lot of my kid, and it was like, that's pretty fucking cool. I don't know. Yeah,
it's pretty cute. So give it a little listen here.
So the shirt is, the picture is Pandora's box. What do you think about it?
I think that there's a secret way to get the things back inside the box.
You're talking funny because you know I'm recording you, huh? You can talk normally.
Witness that phenomenon.
What?
So, this is Pandora's box.
There's a tricky way to get them back in the box.
What do you think those things are?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of like a live lesson?
We need to read the story for me to know what they are.
All right. Well, let's get ready for bed, and we can talk about reading the story and talk more about Pandora's box another time.
Daddy,
Mm-hmm.
can I tell you something?
Sure.
I think those things, they're just ghosts.
Nailed it.
Maybe.
So
All right,
fucking
let's
good.
get ready for bed.
There's ghosts and letters.
Mm-hmm.
They came out of the box, but I think there's a secret way to get them back in.
Yeah.
So proud. So proud.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's adorable. And it makes me realize how fucking quick these little shits grow up, because that's kind of that, like, he's still got a little bit of that babyish voice. Is it he or she? I can't remember.
I don't. He didn't specify.
Sometimes it could go either way when you're a kid. Anyway, the kid still has sort of that babyish voice that Sarah's youngest had when we first started dating, and now that's slipping into. I mean, that's gone. That part is long gone. But now, like, some of her she still has certain words that she still can't quite pronounce right. But that's slipping away, like, day by day. Pretty soon it's just going to be like, oh, you said that word right. And it's like, it's a proud and sad moment, like, all at the same time. You're like, Jesus, like, slow
Logan.
down. Like, I just gotten used to laughing at that.
Logan still says police-opler. Oh, kills me every time.
Yeah, and it'll kill you
it's
when
a police-opler.
He says it right.
I know.
It'd be like,
I've experienced that too.
It's gone forever. Yeah. It's crazy. Anyway, thanks for that, Ben. And I believe one of us will be playing for you tonight. And if you do win,
Ben,
that'll save me some shipping.
And I've got some good news for Ben, because I did randomly assign you all, and surprisingly, he ended up with John motherfucking Mark. So any of these people that win is great in my book.
Pressure's on. Pressure's on.
Ron, you're going to be playing for the beloved TJ.
All right. Well, that would extra save me shipping.
Yeah, you better fucking win. Lyle, you're going to be playing for Jeff Hall.
All right.
And as always,
Jeff
guys, if you want...
right in at that last question last week. Well,
if you want to be involved in this, earning sweet-ass prizes, pictures of Ron in the bathtub, all you got to do is comment on our Facebook post, y'all.
That's all you
Look us
gotta
up.
do.
It's funny. I've been seeing a lot of people liking the Space Pod Facebook page. I don't know if it's bots or what, but I'm like, yo, we're over here now.
Yeah, we still have more likes on the Spacepod page. I guess that makes sense. We were there for almost a decade. Now the prize this time around, I'm putting together a little package. I tried to get this thing going. What we were calling them radar jetpacks, which were basically going to be radar station paraphernalia. Think like radar station themed loot crate, which is mostly my art, little zines of my writing, stickers, some random goodies. So I'll send you a whole box, maybe a little bit of jewelry in there. We can't know. It'll be a good little, cool little prize. So I'll be sending you out a radar jetpack, whoever wins this round. So, I think we got
I want one of those too.
for. And I'm excited to see. It's the championship round, so I feel like the pressure is definitely on.
Yeah, don't fuck around. All right.
All right. I like my cigar.
All right. That being said, y'all ready for this?
Ba, 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 ba,
Had to get some smoke out of my mouth.
I'm just gonna have to get a fucking soundbite of that and play.
You like to hear them back to back to back, so it loops. Like one goes right into the next in rhythm, and it just kind of plays for 5 minutes.
Just the fucking no.
What the fuck?
Fuck that. I want the Snyder cut. I want the 4.5 hour. Y'all ready for this? And then you guys are the sad fucking trombone in the back.
You're like, I'll check in with you guys in an hour.
Break time.
Okay. All right. We got 5 questions tonight, guys. Beefed it up a little bit.
Epic.
Since it's the championship. All right. Question 1. All right. Back in January, a 35-year-old man in South Africa passed away. Most people that knew him believe he died doing something he loved. How did he die, and what was listed as his official cause of death on his death certificate? Was it A, he died from a cocaine overdose, and his death certificate read, death by extreme repeated cocaine abuse? Was it B, he died from drinking too much fresh mountain spring water, and his certificate read, death by water poisoning?
Well, it's a real thing. Mountain spring water.
How fresh could that be fresh?
Well, I can tell you, I am cocaine-esque addicted to Topo Chico, which is Mexican mineral water, carbonated Mexican mineral water. When Chris asked me earlier, do you like carbonated beverages? I'm like, motherfucker, I'm drinking so many that it's giving me heartburn. Every day I walk down to a shop that's right next to the place I'm working downtown, Rhubarb Market, and she always keeps cold Topo Chico in the fridge. For those of you who think that all seltzer or all carbonated water is created equally, try yourself a Topo Chico, but you got to drink it right out of the bottle, ice cold, right out of the bottle. It's the fuzziest, burn your throat, most delicious carbonation you'll ever experience.
All right, I'm sold.
And it's mineral water. They say it's healthy. Who fucking knows?
Was it C, he died while having sex, and his death certificate read, death by extreme orgasm?
Well, you'd want to make it. You'd want to die right as the orgasm is starting to fade. Just sliding into that refractory period for eternity. Yes, kind of amazing.
Where you get a little sleepy and then you just go night-night forever.
You just, I think I'm just going to stop.
Sky rockets and fool.
Forever asleep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kind of beautiful.
Or
not for the person you're fucking that way. Very different experience for them.
Oh, wasn't that great? Wasn't that, honey?
Skyrockets. He's dead. He's moving his bowels.
Oh, that would be, that has to happen to people all the fucking time.
Sure.
I mean, heart attacks must be triggered by vigorous sex all the fucking time. Can you imagine someone dying on top of you during sex? Oh, traumatic.
Great. Well, I mean, you know what they say when you die.
That would be great.
You relieve your bowels too. So
your vowels and your bowels. If you were cheating, you did both.
I want to go out. God, hey, E-I-O-U.
And sometimes, why God? He released his vowels. Okay.
You say vowels. He lost his vowels everywhere.
Oh, that's fucking good.
There's an A and I.
It's like we got 2 bad phone calls to make. Yeah, wasn't there a movie? There's a horror movie about somebody, like a rapist, had chained up a girl and died of a heart attack while he was raping her. So the whole premise of the story is that she has to be now handcuffed to a bed.
No, you're thinking of Gerald's Game, the Stephen King book, right? And it's also,
Is that the premise? Am I thinking of it right?
A husband and wife go to the cabin and he has a heart attack while she's chained up because she kicks him because all of a sudden she doesn't want to be handcuffed, and he has a fucking heart attack and dies in the middle of the woods, and it's all about what happens to her over the next 5 days.
Yeah, she just has to watch him like
fucking great.
What a fucked up. But they made a movie.
Anyways, wow, that's funny. Okay, so so death by extreme orgasm, or was it D? He had a debilitating stroke and was left alive but not able to move on his floor, where after 6 days his pet dogs and cat ate him alive.
I think
his death certificate read death by pet consumption.
Oh man.
Well, this is about as tough as it gets. I mean, it's like, what the fuck do we know?
Yeah. One of these things actually happened. Death by extreme repeated cocaine abuse, death by water poisoning, death by extreme orgasm, or death by pet consumption.
Okay. Well, who's going first here?
Let's see. Ron, you won, if I'm not mistaken, last week.
I did win, yeah. And it does deserve that shocked tone.
I apologize.
No,
I apologize.
it's fair.
I mean no disrespect.
Mm-hmm.
But, John Mark usually is the one that's just giving it to you guys.
Yeah.
Just raw dogging it right in
Sure.
there. All right.
Okay,
so what do you got, Ron?
Boy, I'm torn between the fucking and the pet consumption.
Normally are.
Those are the ones that I think ring true. I'm going to go with I'm going to go pet consumption.
Pet consumption. Let me put you down for
Technically,
a D.
I guess he'd be eaten alive. Yeah, he wasn't dead.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Okay,
can you imagine? Like being eaten alive by anything, but eaten alive by your babies? Like your pets?
He's like, I hate you, but I love you. Eat my flesh. Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, Fluffy. Why can't
No,
you
you're
get my
starving.
telepathic
Yes.
waves? Phone for help.
Okay, just one nibble, Fluffy. Just one. Oh, God, too much.
I said help me, not help yourself. My fucking... Yeah, okay.
The kibbles are in the cupboard.
Yeah, there's food right there. That'd be the ultimate insult if they had like bowls filled with food. Like, no, we thought about it. We're going with the John instead of the kibbles.
Your meat will rot faster.
We'll eat that once you're no longer kept.
Lord knows how long we'll be here, meow.
We gotta think this in terms of ration. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool.
It was just like the last thought through your head is that my pets are eating me. I'm trying to put myself in that position. What a strange...
No, stop, please. Please stop.
He thought.
No.
Oh my God. I want to animate with this so bad.
The human's not saying no, so it must be okay.
Normally he'd
he
be
must
shooing
be
me
dead.
away. I try to eat him all the time. He just smacks me away.
Excuse me. Get out of here.
Yeah. Crazy.
Okay. Let's see. I got Ron's answer. I need John Marks.
Man, I don't know. A lot of these sound pretty good.
Do they?
Yeah. I don't. Wow.
I like this. I like it when you have to do this, John Mark.
This is good for Ben.
I'm gonna go. Fuck. I'm gonna go with the drinking of the water.
Ooh, death by mineral water.
Put you down for a B. Ron Joe.
Yeah.
Or water poisoning. Yeah, that is a thing.
Lyle.
Minerals. The thing is, and there's actually, from what, and I'm not sure, but I've been told that cats will most definitely eat you if you die.
Yeah, that's the theory.
Dogs, not so much. Dogs won't eat you. They're more likely to starve and
More
like
loyal.
die. Eat. Yeah.
Depends on how kind you are to him, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't think my dog loves me that much.
But the whole if you imagine a home with the cats and the dogs that get along with each other, because I had my dog had a cat that lived with us, that they got along together, they played together and stuff. What if it was kind of more of a peer pressure thing? The cat just mowing on him.
Everyone's doing it, meow.
Everybody's doing it. Check out some
I
here.
dare you to
Kevin,
bite him in the
this
cheek,
tongue.
pussy.
Well, that's the
He
theory.
didn't even like you, meow.
Well, the theory is that cats will go straight for like your eyeballs, your tongue, stuff like that. They won't go for hearty.
Easily
Hearty
accessible.
But like, if a dog was willing, obviously, you could go into the guts and
Dog willing.
heart, and dogs love it. It's ancestral. It's the liver. So it's kind of like, it's possible. It's very, very, very highly likely possible that a dog would he would, I wouldn't say enjoy, but he would engage with that activity. That very terrible activity, cat.
The cat started eating the man, and the dog engaged in said activity.
I'm just thinking out of peer pressure, animal. But I really want to go with the fucking. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
I'm going with the fucking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's
The
my
ultimate
boy.
animal
Humping it
house.
up for solid C.
20 minutes in favor of D to go with C.
Not enough evidence, man. Loyal dogs.
True enough. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, excuse me. All right. Question 2. The city of Placerton, California, made news this week. You see, Placerton is also known by a little name known. Excuse me. One more time. Just edit this, Ron, so I sound good.
I always
will.
don't.
Every time. It's also known as Hangtown, a moniker that's on signs and billboards all around town, reminding people of its gold rush origins.
You did say billboards. Which made me think we are not capitalizing on birds flying banners to advertise our shit. I think we could figure that out. Billboards.
I meant what I said.
All right, go on.
Do they have like little tallies behind them when they fly? And
Anyways,
This is going to be a
Hangtown.
long round.
This one. Yeah, it is.
Truly, I'm telling you, man, it's kicked in.
For many years, town residents have asked the city council to make some changes. And just recently, after a 3-hour meeting, the council decided to A. Change the name to Woke Town.
Oh, boy.
Welcome to Woke Town.
woke around here, bro.
Woke.
We're changing it.
They're turning
We're
the
woke
frogs
now.
woke.
We're not Hangtown anymore. We're Woke Town.
We got the documentations.
Was it B? They decided it was time just to remove the noose from the Hangtown logo.
Sure,
That's
at least,
probably what
at least we
always-
can agree on that, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably not everyone.
Oh my god.
Was it B?
Horrible.
Was it C? The council decided to personally apologize to every black resident in the city, all 6 of them.
Okay.
Sure.
Seems cute.
Or
Something.
was it D? They changed the town name from Hangtown to Hungtown.
Oh, you know why? Zip.
The tense makes all the difference.
Hungtown. Okay. So again,
I was hung down this morning. You know.
I know what you're saying. After you take down that tent you pitch, you're damn right about pulling that log around.
well, okay, was a sling blade all of a sudden?
We're talking about
Oh
hanging.
my god. He didn't deserve that. He was just a boy.
They call it Hungtown, but you know why? Because everybody had like sore throats from the being hung down. But, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh.
It started bad. It didn't end. It didn't. Okay.
Hungtown? Sore throats.
Again.
So yeah, real
Woke
quick,
Town.
the
I
rundown
didn't say
again.
Gagtown.
They changed the name to Woketown. They decided it was time to remove the noose from the Hangtown logo. They decided to apologize to every black resident, all 6 of them, or they changed the town name from Hangtown to Hungtown. What'd they do, Ronster?
Ah, God, these are all so fucking tough. Well, I am torn between D and A.
Hungtown. Ironic.
Hungtown is such a stupid thing to do, but we do stupid things. But in that vein, is there one word I'm more sick of hearing than woke? I can't think of it. I'm going to say that in the interest of appearing woke, Someone actually wanted to change the name of their town from Hangtown to Woketown.
Okay, putting you down for an A.
That feels very, very current.
Better than Chop. Yeah.
John Mark?
I'm going to say they apologize to their residents.
John Mark is going with C. Okay, Lyle.
Kind of an empty apology if they don't change the name.
Well, the whole thing is that like in history there was a lot more. Everybody was hung. It was just a
It's true.
punishment. Doesn't matter what color your skin was.
There is also something to be said about letting some of that dark history, no pun intended, hang around. Sometimes we want to
Learn from history.
get rid of it, and almost in a way that hides it. Yeah, there's something to that as well. But sometimes we can all agree that it shouldn't be called Hangtown. Or it should be, and they just
Flavor's so
lean
weird.
into it. Fuck it.
Yeah. If you're thinking about down south, you're thinking about that, and if you think about like the Pacific Northwest, it was a lot of China, like Chinese people, digging for the highway, the railroad. They were slaves, and if you went to Portland, Oregon, you could be a slave by going to the wrong bar at night.
Right. Well, there's a place that some of my family still lives. Now they didn't name it this, but it was named N-Word Holler.
Right.
No.
That's the name where they live, and it's still called that. How does that happen?
No, like if you fucking write a letter to them, you have to spell it out on the envelope and shit?
Well, it's
Or is it like a suburb?
It's not really part of it's like, number one canyon. We have number one canyon.
Is it a
here,
township?
Pictures
I've never
Canyon.
heard of this.
It's just like it's the name of the place. It's not a town. So I guess maybe that's why they haven't changed it. But there's still signs up that literally say that.
Wow. Well,
Unbelievable.
for my answer anyway, it's like it seems like branding is pretty important, and if your city is branded off of a news, then maybe if things aren't going well and you want to change it to maybe a little better atmosphere, you would probably want to lose the news. So
Having a noose in your logo is pretty bold these days. Yeah, that's
cool.
That's a good.
Oh, pretty metal. I like
Yes.
it. I'm gonna say they probably evolved enough to
Denoosed. Mm-hmm.
Putting Lyle down for a B. Okay, question 3. Question 3 is a listener submitted story, so you know what that means, guys. 2-point tie, baby.
Oh, this could be key.
2 points. Again, big thanks to my boy Ben for sending this one over. And as always, if you stumble upon a story you'd like me to see, you'd like to see me turn into one of these wonky questions, please email that over to me at christopher.bizarre@gmail.com. My trulies are kicking in too, Ron. Can you tell?
True. Okay.
All right. Okay. Last month, a Colorado man was flying on an Alaska Airlines flight from Seattle to Denver. When staff asked him to put his mask on, he refused and swatted at them. And as bad as that is, it's believed that this act is actually what got him arrested once they landed. What else did he do while on the flight? Was it A? He got drunk and then pissed all over his seat.
Tough act to follow all around.
Classic. Was it B? He got an erection and kept showing off the size of his, quote, pop-up tent to anyone that would look at him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Was it C? He tried to smoke a joint in the bathroom, setting off the smoke detector.
Oh, yeah. Fuck.
Or was it D? He traveled from seat to seat, telling his carefully curated racist jokes, even to children.
Ooh, I'm not rooting for that one.
Terror in the sky. All right. Again, what got this man eventually arrested once they landed at the airport? Was A, he got drunk and pissed all over his seat. He got an erection and kept showing off the size of his pop-up tent to anyone that would look. He tried to smoke a joint in the bathroom, setting off the smoke detector, or he traveled from seat to seat telling racist jokes, even to children. Ronster.
God, so far, all of these are just sheer guesses. Like, I don't even have nothing sounded familiar. Nothing's pulling me in one way.
No.
I'm going I'd like the visual of getting drunk and pissing. but I feel like lighting up a doob seems just a bit more likely. So I'm going to go with that.
Ron's going with C. Perfect. John, Mark.
I'm gonna go with B, I think.
The pop-up tent boner. The old trick.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Lyle.
Well, there's not only another version of the Mile High Club. I think I'm going to go with he was smoking a little.
Mm-hmm. Smoking in the boys' room.
Yeah, maybe trying to get a stewardess to come help him,
I get it. The Mile High Club.
Yeah.
Wouldn't an edible be way more convenient?
Well, passable, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You can eat it with the plane, probably eat it.
Sure.
Okay, guys. Question 4. When Michael Jordan was at the top of his game, he practiced a lot. And not just with his team, but at his home. And when he did it at his home, it was reported that he practiced A, barefoot. B, with strobe lights on.
Interesting.
C, with live bands playing.
This is how you get better.
Or D, naked.
Oh boy, yeah. Flappage. Maximum flappage.
Well, think about it. You got scary things, around there where you're bouncing off the floor, coming back up at you.
Wait, no.
It's true.
You've seen Air Jordan, and then you've seen Helicopter Dick Air Jordan, okay?
You can
Suddenly his secret is revealed.
That texture of that basketball,
Well, I'll say this. As soon as you said strobe lights, it made me think of like equilibrium and balance and just, everything. I mean, distraction. And, the girls got a little swing set out front, and I sat in it the other day and I just took a couple of swings back and forth, and I was dizzy for a little bit. And I remember having that experience when they first got it. And I was like, fuck, can I not swing anymore? Am I that old and so used to not moving, rapidly? And so I made an effort to just like sit on the swing, get some vitamin D. This was going into COVID. And I was like, I'm just going to sit out on that swing and move and get my equilibrium used to that kind of like weird movement. And it worked. It like within a week or so, I was swinging on that thing like a champ, and then, 15 minutes straight, and then I'd get off and I wouldn't be dizzy. So it got me thinking, like, all these things that happen as we get older, we get more sedentary, especially, is your equilibrium can get out of shape, and you just like, but it can get back in shape. So I wonder if the strobe light could actually sort of kind of keep you a bit more sharp. Like if you can negotiate all of the things it takes to be a good athlete, even just practicing by yourself and making shots and dunking and doing all that shit during a strobe scenario, I bet that would train you up to just acknowledging all the craziness that's going on around you at a busy and NBA level basketball game. So I'm going to go with that.
Okie doke. Putting you down for a B. John Mark.
Ron's convinced me. I'm going to go with B too.
That was pretty good.
It was a long-winded.
Strobe lights are great. Strobe lights are rad. I mean, when I remember in the 90s, we used to strobe light out all the time, get all high and play guitar and with bands and stuff. And the strobe light will literally stop time.
Yeah, it can fuck with. It looks like slow motion.
Well, and if you're playing, you're rocking out and even having sex, it'll kind of like stop time a little bit, and it's weird to grab the grasp of reality. It's just a trip. I'm not going with it. I'm going to go with.
Of course,
love
not.
it. Classic.
But I also love
I'm going to go
enjoying.
with the best thing that helps when you're doing athletic things, and that's to get pumped and motivated. And unfortunately, and I'm going to bring this up on the episode. I wasn't planning to, but I'm going to. Rip little to old DMX that passed away this week.
Yeah, that was kind of a shock.
Died of a heart attack at 49 or 50.
He was 50.
Wasn't that old? But could you imagine? Just do it wrong. Can you imagine? Having Jordan's funding to have a court to play in at home, And then all of a sudden you just see fucking X coming out. X gonna give it to you. And he's out.
Fucking great, right?
Just landing fucking 3-pointers, dude.
You can definitely have afforded it at that point.
Just limp biscuit coming out. I do it all for the nookie. Fuck the nookie.
Music is great. Music is one of the best things in the world to embrace, especially even if you're being tortured. Like weightlifting or anything like that. Just something that's just grueling, running or something like that. Music will give you enough energy to get through it. And I think, most of all, that would be inspiring to have live music playing while you're practicing, It just gets you in. And not only that, it also kind of gets you into having the more than just a few people being around, because when you're playing in front of people, it's kind of more, it's different than just being with a couple of your buddies. So I'm going with that.
Perf. Okay. Question 5. In Philadelphia, they take some of their food very seriously. So seriously, in fact, that it's illegal to do this. Is it A, to serve pizza with seafood on it of any kind?
Amen.
I'm on team that.
Is it B, to put pretzels in paper bags?
I feel like that's where they belong.
Is it C, to sell Philly cheesesteaks with Cheese Whiz spread on the bun before the meat?
Oh, you know what?
Or is it D, to share ice cream with another person in a public space?
Okay, I got the answers. Repeat the question again real quick.
In Philadelphia, it is illegal to do this.
Okay.
To serve pizza with seafood on it, to put pretzels in paper bags, to sell Philly cheesesteaks with the cheese spread on the bun first, or to share ice cream with another person in a public space. Ronster.
I don't fucking know, man. This has been a hard round.
Champion shits are for champions.
Yeah, well, I'll handle the shit end of the champion shit equation by saying I'm just going to go with what I feel might be the obvious choice, the cheese whiz. I know that them's fighting words. First of all, or I guess it's wit, W-I-T, wit or without, or no. Is it wit or without, or wit or not wit?
I don't know.
With
I don't remember what
that.
it is. There's like two dueling cheese steak houses in Philly, and one of them is the wit place, and one of them is the without place. And never the twain shall meet. And everyone has their favorite. But the layering, I could see that being key, surprisingly. I'm going to go with that.
Okay. Putting you down for a C.
Makes me want to Steak-Umm Philly cheese.
Oh, God.
That's the ultimate. That would be outlawed, using Steak-Umm in Philly cheese sandwich.
Yeah.
Okay. John Mark.
I'm going to say seafood on pizza.
Love it.
That just didn't
Putting you
sound
down
right.
for an A.
Well, the thing about Philadelphia is that I've never been there. I'm not well-traveled or educated. Never been there. But I do kind of find myself getting into watching a lot of cooking videos. And I've gone over the holy grail on how to make the best pizza, the best Philly cheesesteak.
You're making some tasty looking pies. You sent us photos.
I'm good. I'm getting there.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember distinctly a couple of these places. Ron's correct. There's one place that does Cheese Whiz, and then the other place does something else. And I can't remember if it's just, I can't remember what it is. And I've actually did that. Provolone cheese. Yeah. Provolone. And I made both because I wanted to know which would be better. And I actually kind of went to the Cheese Whiz route.
I did too. I was surprised too.
I remember on the episode, one of the cooks, how they made it is that they had the beef they had the cheese already in the bun, and they scooped up the meat off the grill with the bun in hand. So scientifically meaning that would be the cheese on the first.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that's going to absorb into the bread a little. And
well, it's illegal. To Chris's question, I mean,
it's illegal.
So I'm gonna have to go with the seafood on the pizza.
This is getting good.
Classic
Well,
round.
Because it's like it's basically proving that it's wrong, or it's either way.
Right, it could go either way. Yeah, I'm leaning toward that too, but I had no guess, so I'm just going with the feeling.
All right, well, let's go over the answers here. Good luck, TJ, Ben, and Jeff. Let's see how our boys did for y'all. Wish me luck getting through these again, because lordy. Okay, question 1. Back in January, a 35-year-old man in South Africa died. But most people that knew him believed he died doing something he loved. He died having sex. And his certificate actually listed death by extreme orgasm. Lyle, swooping in early with the point. Looking good, Jeff.
What actually killed him?
That's literally what his death certificate says. I don't know
say
that
the intensity of the orgasm killed him.
Yeah, they don't have. They weren't able to find. They weren't able to find an obvious cause. I'm sure it was something that happened that they just weren't able to detect. Sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you guys about how my dad had his brain aneurysm?
Was he fucking?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if I even disclosed it because it is kind of personal, but yeah, he was fucking my mom, and then all of a sudden.
Is that how he made you? You're a fucking aneurysm? Come?
If it was a girl, he would have named him Annie. Sorry.
Well, it's funny to a point, but it's not funny because he got stuck behind his head.
I don't mean to laugh.
Ambulance came and everything else. You know, he could have died, but he would have died having sex. You know.
Yeah. So what was the symptom? Just like
he just had a brain aneurysm. A vein in his brain popped.
What does that feel like, though? Like, when did he know that was? Did he just collapse?
No. Well, I mean, that's what happened. Is he collapsed and passed out? But it's the brain aneurysm. It's just a vessel in your brain, and when it pops, it creates pressure on your brain because the blood has nowhere to escape, and that's how you die. Until you get help, you got to go to the hospital and get your brain drilled or your skull drilled.
Yeah. Well, see, I almost went with it because you hear about people dying during sex all the fucking time. Just like you hear about people dying on the toilet all the time. Any place that you could be doing strenuous
activity
things in specific positions could be the 1-2 punch.
Question 2. The city of Placerton, California, made news this week. It's also known as Hangtown. Lots of the town residents have been trying to get that changed for a long time. Finally, after a 3-hour debate, town council decided to remove the noose from the Hangtown logo. That was their compromise.
Can I say two?
I do have a picture.
Sorry, TJ.
Lyle swooped in again. Look at that.
We do have a 2-pointer, but
well, it seems a tradition now. Like we have a grade school here in town, and there was a huge stink about it. It was named Robert E. Lee. You know. And there was a huge shit and stink about it until the name of the school was changed.
Oh, did they change it?
I don't know if they did or not.
They've been wanting to change that for a while. But see, that's the thing. It's like, I get it. At the same time, pulling down the statues and pulling off all this, these reminders that, I'm of two minds about it. But I suppose it's easier for me as a white man to say that, ask someone of color how they feel about it. But I don't think that it erases history, but it does, like one by one, we get all these things sort of pushed into a closet and we don't think about them like we once did. And I don't know if that's ultimately better or just weird. But yeah, anywho.
Okay. Good job, Lyle. 2 for 2, man.
Yeah.
We'll see how this goes here. Question 3,
right
our
here.
listener submitted question, were 2 points. A Colorado man was flying on an Alaska Airlines flight from Seattle to Denver. Staff asked him to put a mask on. He refused and swatted at them. But then he got drunk and pissed all over his seat, and that was what they were able to fucking nail him for. Basically, that got him arrested as soon as they landed.
Quite the flight.
Just the cherry on top. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody got that. No points for no one.
That's what I was thinking. Huh. Well.
All right. It's not over yet.
Interesting.
Question 4, when Michael Jordan was at the top of his game, he practiced a lot, not just with his team, but at his home. And when he practiced at home, it was reported that he would put strobe lights on and just fucking blast himself. And he would do that to get himself used to the flash photography as he played.
Oh, yeah, good thinking.
So it wouldn't affect him. So it wouldn't affect him as much. Ron and John Mark got that correct, putting them on the board. Lyle still with the 1 point lead now.
Yeah,
so it's
could
2-1.
come down to a tie, and we know how well I do with those.
Mm-hmm. Okay, question 5. In Philadelphia, they take some of their food very seriously. So seriously, in fact, that it's illegal to put pretzels in paper bags.
Oh, my God.
Damn.
This actually harkens back to a prohibition-related law because back in the Prohibition era, people would be walking around getting hot pretzels and they put them in paper bags, but it wasn't really hot pretzels they were getting booze. So they made a law that you couldn't fucking do that. And it's not something that I think they're enforcing to this day, but it's still there. Still a fucking law.
Interesting.
Yeah. So nobody got that right either, which means Lyle's going to be our winner today.
Oh, very nice.
2.
Nice job.
Thank you very much.
Jeff Hall will be the guy. So, Jeff, you need to reach out to us via Facebook, or if you want to email Ron at, what's your best email these days?
Yeah, radarstationart@gmail.com. Yeah, Facebook works, though, if you forget that. Because we just need your address, and I will get your radar jetpack sent your way. And if you reach out to me, we can steer it one way or the other. Because I do have jewelry. If you don't want, I got some of my little kooky earrings. If you want some of that, I can put some of those in there, or I can just replace it with more little art, doodads, more stickers, whatever. So reach out and we will get that sent off within 8 to 12 months, I believe is the window that I have now set. And then
Look forward to it next season.
To the double, extra, triple championship. I don't know. Well, this is fun. I do hope that more people get involved with this because it's been fun to see you guys interacting with us on social media, but 2, it's fun. It's kind of, I miss doing this. I missed playing for other people. It does add an extra element of pressure. Doesn't make me play better, obviously, but. And now I can't stop thinking about Philly cheesesteaks.
I'm so hungry.
I did the exact same thing Lyle did. I must have watched a show where they were talking about, it's probably like drive-ins, diners, and what was it? Dives, whatever that, the the Nickelback of food hosts, Guy Fieri. I could not stop thinking about it. So I went to the store, got all the makings. I looked up all the authentic recipes I could find online. I was like, I'm going to try one with and without. I was shocked with how much better I preferred the Cheese Whiz version. It's just something, it just gets it all saucy and gooey and just fucking delicious. Not that the provolone one was delicious too, but.
Yeah, I guess it's saying sticks to your ribs is kind of like, it fits kind of like the cheese version versus the Cheese Whiz version versus provolone. Yeah,
so good. I can't eat bread anymore, but I can make things like that with these almond flour tortillas that
now,
we discovered, like little quesadillas type things.
Could you make your own bread and eat it?
Yeah, Sarah's got a pretty good bread recipe, but it's just you kind of wean yourself off of it. Nothing beats bread, nothing. But we've come up with some pretty good sandwich stuff, and you can make a wrap out of it. Anything that can be a sandwich can be a wrap. Those same tortillas make pretty good thin crust pizzas, the fake cheese, and you dress it all up like a normal pizza. You're getting pretty close, but nothing beats real pizza and or a real cheeseburger, even though you can make like a little quesadilla using all. You can get some of those flavors and hit some of those notes. And it's not like sad food, but nothing compares. You just got to find real food.
Personally, I can't eat a lot of the bread that's on the shelves. It has to be completely all natural. And I was thinking about starting making my own bread. Yeah. And because it's not that difficult.
No, making your own bread's not that difficult, and you can really experiment.
Coffee cans, remember? I don't know if you maybe your grandparents maybe used to make with the old metal coffee cans. Would make bread. They just stuff the bread in there and then cook it in the coffee can.
That's a good idea. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
that
delicious.
trick. Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations, Jeff. And do reach out. We'll get you your prize. Ben, don't worry. I'll get you your prize too. I almost guarantee it. Tune in next week. We shall be talking about 9/11, everybody. Have a nice week.
Finally.
Rest in peace.
Good night, guys.
It's happened to me. Night, y'all.
Good night.
I do.
Truly, I tried me a truly, and it tastes just like I thought it would taste. Except less sweet. The flavor is exactly what I expected. The sweetness, they knocked it down to a tolerable level. Yeah. Give it a shot, folks. I would recommend drinking this over a lot of the garbage that's out there on the market. Mm-hmm. And if nothing else fails, put a little under your, tap a little on your wrist, maybe a little on your neck. Attract those ladies, because it could just be Axe. We can't know. Black cherry scented Axe. All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Finally, it's Avril Lavigne.
Slightly above Avril.
I have a headache. I mean, Avril was the best one, though. Come on.
It is. There's no beating that one. It's going to take me a couple
I dare
Avril
you to
right
try.
now. All right. Good night, Jay. Good night, Jay.
See you guys.
I believe I
Bye.
said.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Hey, E-I-O-U.
And sometimes, why God? He released his vowels.